Do you struggle with your sourdough starter? Are you not able to get it to double in size, and do you find that it's not very thick and doesn't have very many bubbles? Well, there are 5 things that you can try and get your starter to become a lot more active. The first one is really easy, just to get more oxygen into the starter, and you can do that just by stirring it. In between feeds, just make sure you take the lid off and give it lots of lovely stir throughs, and that can add in lots of extra oxygen that can really help. The second thing is to add in some rye flour. You can do this when you feed your starter. Just reduce the flour that you would normally add by a small amount and just put in a little bit of rye flour. And rye flour works like a superfood with regards to sourdough starters, and it can also enhance the sour flavour as well. Sourdough starters respond very well to warmth, so making sure that your sourdough starter is somewhere nice and warm. Every house is going to be different, every climate is different. You don't want your starter to get hot, but it's finding somewhere in your home that is nice and warm. It could be an airing cupboard or a cupboard that sits next to some kind of a generator or something. You could put it on top of an air fryer after you've used it. Some people like to put it inside a microwave without switching it on. There are lots of different places that you can put it. Maybe you can share where you put your starter as well to help other people. Feeding your starter more frequently is another way that you can get your starter to become more active. This is called peak-to-peak feeding, and you can find that by doing more feeds throughout the day, so as your starter peaks, then discarding it and feeding it again, and doing that for a couple of days. Yes, it is a few more feeds and it is a little bit more flour, but you will find that your starter will respond really, really well to that. And the 5th thing that you can do, which you don't want to do too often, is to do a bit of a flour boost. And that's when you're feeding your starter. We would normally say that you would do a 1:1:1 ratio or a 1:2:2, but maybe for a couple of feeds, you would just do a bit more flour and a bit less water. So if, for example, you were going to be feeding 100 grams of starter, then 100 grams of water and 100 grams of flour, you may want to reduce the water maybe down to 75, and then maybe put the flour up to maybe 130, 150, something like that, just so that you've got a bit more flour going into the starter. And you just do that for a few feeds and you will see that the starter will really enjoy that, and then it will double in size, and then you can go back to standard ratios as well. So they're just 5 things that can really help, but I do know that there are lots more things that can get your starter to become more active. If you want to share those in the comments to help other people, and you can give me a follow and a like, and then follow along for more sourdough tips.